The champagne flute felt brittle in my hand, a hairline crack away from shattering. Around me, the Ivy League graduation garden party buzzed with the sound of my parents' cultivated success. A toast to our daughter, the future cardiothoracic surgeon. My father's voice boomed across the manicured lawn, his arm locked around my beaming sister, Alara. My mother dabbed at a perfectly timed tear. I waited for the chorus of "Hear, hear" to die down. Then I cleared my throat, a soft, dry sound that somehow cut through the noise. I didn't raise my glass. Instead, I reached into the leather portfolio I'd carried all afternoon and pulled out 3 crisp, legal-sized envelopes. "Speaking of investments," I said, my voice not loud but clear enough for the inner circle of relatives and professors to hear, "while you were diligently funding Alara's future, someone had to financially and logistically fund her present, and my own." I handed an envelope to my father, my mother, and finally to Alara, whose smile had frozen. "This isn't a graduation card, it's a formal invoice. For 18 years of rendered services, including childcare, tutoring, household management, and emotional labor. Payment is due in 30 days. The silence that followed was profound, broken only by the distant clink of a caterer's dish. It was the sound of a meticulously constructed family narrative hitting a fact it couldn't absorb. I am the infrastructure of the Rogers family, the reliable, unremarkable foundation upon which their more dazzling achievements are built. At 24, I have the quiet demeanor of a librarian and the analytical mind of a forensic accountant, which in a way I am. My life has been an exercise in resource management, both the family's and my own. To the world, I am Avery, the practical one. My uniform consists of comfortably broken-in jeans, soft sweaters in muted colors, and boots meant for standing long hours. My light brown hair is usually tied back in a no-nonsense style. My most telling feature are my hands. They are rarely idle, often tracing imaginary columns in rows in the air, a silent testament to the spreadsheets that run like a second heartbeat in my mind. My family saw my knack for numbers as a quaint hobby, useful for balancing checkbooks. They never understood it was my primary language, the lens through which I saw the unbalanced equation of our lives. From the age of 12, I began translating our family's unspoken economy into data. What started as a simple log of a few dollars spent on milk evolved into a comprehensive ledger, a living document detailing every hour of tutoring, every mile driven as a chauffeur, every emotional crisis managed, and every personal opportunity cost incurred. This ledger is not a record of resentment, but of reality. It is my life's work. It proves that while my parents' love for Alara was a capital expenditure, tuition, tutors, summer programs, their love for me was treated as an operating expense, necessary but to be minimized. I am not the forgotten daughter seeking an emotional apology. I am the silent partner presenting the annual audit, and the numbers have finally tipped into the red. I trace the origin of my ledger to a rainy Thursday in April. I was 12, Alara was 10. The event was her first major solo cello recital at the community hall. The air in our house had been thick with tension for a week. My mother practicing French braids, my father testing the video camera, Alara's scales echoing through the halls. An hour before departure, chaos erupted. My mother, in a panic, couldn't find the special rosin for Alara's bow. "It's at the music shop across town. Avery, you have to go. I need to finish her hair." My father thrust a 20 in my hand. "Take a cab, there and back, fast." The rosin cost $8. The cab there was $11. I stood outside the shop with $1 in my palm, watching the cab drive away. The walk home was 2.3 miles in a light drizzle, the precious rosin tucked inside my jacket. I arrived damp and breathless, just as they were loading the cello into the car. No one asked about the cab there. That night, as Alara took her bow to resounding applause, my legs ached. In the back of my science notebook, I made my first official entry in my best handwriting. Note: transportation, rosin acquisition, $11, asterisk. Materials, premium rosin, $8. Time expenditure, 1.2 hours. Outcome, successful performance. It wasn't anger I felt, it was a profound sense of clarification. A transaction had occurred, I had provided a service, logistical problem solving, and capital, my time, the leftover dollar, to ensure the success of the family's priority project. No one had acknowledged it. The ledger would become my record of acknowledgement. A day in the life. A typical day during Alara's sophomore year at Yale looked like this. 6:30 a.m., my alarm. I'd scroll through my emails, sending off financial summaries to two of my remote clients, a small indie bookstore and a freelance graphic designer, before my family was awake. 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., shift at the Book Nook. My official title was cashier. My unofficial role was inventory manager and de facto accountant. I recalibrated their consignment system, boosting their monthly profit by 15%. My pay stayed the same. 4:05 p.m., inevitable call from Alara. Avery, I'm drowning in biochem. The Krebs cycle is a literal circle of hell. I'd take my 15-minute break sitting on the stockroom floor, a textbook open on my knees, walking her through acetyl-CoA with metaphors involving library book returns. Log entry, 4:15, advanced biochemical tutoring, 0.75 hours, rate $60 an hour. 7 to 11 p.m., after a rushed dinner, I'd switch to my online coursework for my Certified Financial Planning certification, headphones on to block out the world. My parents would often pop their heads in. Avery, can you proofread this grant proposal for me? My father. Avery, does this color scheme for the client presentation work? My mother. Each request was a subtraction from my own compound interest. My personal budget was a study in contradiction. The family subsidy column, a tally of wages lost from turning down longer shifts to be available, money spent on household groceries, gifts for Alara bought with my earnings, consistently dwarfed the personal development column. I was investing heavily in a company where I held no shares. My clients were my refuge because our relationships were governed by clear, respectful contracts. Take Miriam Chen, owner of Chen's Creative Cakes. During our monthly review, she pointed to a line item. This catering van lease, it feels heavy. I pulled up the contract I'd analyzed. You're feeling the weights of a 5-year commitment at a premium rate for a van you only need at full capacity 3 months a year. We renegotiate for a seasonal leaseback agreement or switch to a van share service for Q2 and Q3. I presented a graph showing the cash flow improvement. This isn't just cutting costs, it's freeing up capital for your YouTube channel, which has a higher ROI. Miriam's relief was tangible. Miriam, you see the story the numbers are trying to tell. In their world, my clarity was valued, not taken for granted. It was the mirror image of my home life, where the same skill was treated as an unlimited free utility. The graduation party was their masterpiece. As my father finished his toast, I felt the weight of the portfolio in my lap. It was time for my presentation. The reaction unfolded in slow motion. My father's face cycled from confusion to dawning horror as he skimmed the summary page. Avery, what is the meaning of this? This is monstrous. It's an itemized account. Page 1 is the summary of total indebtedness, $287,475.67, amortized over 18 years. The following 87 pages provide the supporting documentation, timesheets, receipts, and market rate justifications for each service category. My mother's voice was a wounded whisper. You're charging us for being a sister? For being a daughter? I'm charging for performing the roles of academic tutor, licensed driver, event planner, and household manager, roles you outsourced to me without compensation so you could focus your financial and emotional resources on Alara's strategic development. I am simply converting that informal outsourcing into formal terms. Alara, paling, stared at a line item deep in the document. Crisis Management and Psychological Support, Yale Application Season, Senior Year, 120 hours at $75 an hour. You quantified my panic attacks? I quantified my labor in managing them, the nights I spent on the phone talking you down, the research I did on anxiety techniques, the weekends I canceled plans to be home for you. That labor has value. It allowed you to succeed. My Uncle David, the CPA, had taken my father's copy. He adjusted his glasses, scanning. Avery, it's airtight. The use of standard industry rates for tutoring, the depreciation on your vehicle for chauffeur services, this would hold up in mediation. It is not meant for mediation, Uncle David. It's meant for settlement. 3 days later, Alara came to me. We sat in my apartment, the unsigned invoice between us on the coffee table like a sleeping bomb. I read the backup files, she said, her voice raw, the spreadsheet, every tab, logistics_field hockey 2016, AP exam crunch weeks. I felt sick. Why? Because I remember those days as you just being there, my cool sister who knew everything. I didn't see the cost. I didn't see you logging it. She looked up, tears in her eyes. Was none of it real? Was it all just a job to you? This was the heart of it. I leaned forward. Alara, listen to me. The love was real. The frustration was real. The labor was also real. The ledger doesn't cancel out the love. It just makes the labor visible. You got to just be the gifted student. I had to be the gifted student's support staff. I needed a record that I existed in that role, or I was going to disappear into it. She was silent for a long time. What do you want